Sometimes, in the quiet moments of life, we discover a truth we were never taught, a truth that changes how we see the people around us. Not everyone who speaks your name deserves your attention. Not everyone who pushes your buttons deserves a reaction. And sometimes, the greatest strength you will ever show is the decision to simply walk away, because ignoring them, those who doubt you, provoke you, or try to shake your peace, is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is power. It is the beginning of your rise. Your silence is not emptiness. It is not weakness, hesitation, or fear. Silence is a declaration of self-respect, one of the most powerful statements a person can ever make. When you choose not to react to negativity, you are not running away, you are rising above. There is a difference. Many people spend their lives trying to respond to every insult, every comment, every rumor. They feel they must correct every misunderstanding, defend against every accusation, and explain themselves to anyone who questions them. But there comes a moment in life when you finally understand that responding to everything is exhausting, unnecessary, and beneath your purpose. That is the moment you awaken to your own power. When you ignore someone who wants to provoke you, what you are really doing is protecting your mental peace. You are signaling to the world that your emotional stability is not available for negotiation. You are telling them that your mind is not a playground where they can drop their negativity. This is self-respect in its purest form, choosing yourself over chaos. People often misunderstand silence. They think the one who stays quiet is unsure, intimidated, or defeated. But silence can be a shield. Silence can be strength. Silence can be a higher form of communication, one that says, I know who I am, and I refuse to let you rewrite that. When you refuse to engage, you are refusing to give someone the power to drag you down to their level. Reactions feed people. They thrive on the attention, the drama, the emotional energy you release when you respond. Some people provoke you not because they have something meaningful to say, but because they want to disrupt the focus you've worked so hard to build. They want to see you lose control. They want to pull you into their world of chaos because they cannot rise to yours. But when you stay silent, when you stay calm, when you choose not to let their words touch your spirit, you take away everything they were hoping for. They expected a fight. They got peace. They wanted noise. They got stillness. They wanted to control your emotions. They realized they never could. Ignoring someone does not mean you are pretending the situation doesn't exist. It means you have chosen not to let it consume you. It means you understand that not everyone deserves a reaction, a response, or even a second of your time. It means you know your energy is sacred, and you refuse to waste it on anyone who brings nothing but negativity. By staying silent, you preserve your dignity. You maintain your composure. You protect your future from being damaged by temporary emotions. And the truth is, silence often speaks louder than anything you could say. It tells people you're too focused on your growth to be distracted by their noise. It shows them that your journey is more important than their judgment. It forces them to confront themselves because there is no argument, no exchange, no back and forth to hide behind. Silence leaves them alone with their own behavior, their own motives, their own insecurities. That is a power greater than any words you could throw back at them. Your silence shows that you have evolved beyond the need for validation, approval, or permission. It proves you don't need to win the argument. You're too busy winning in life. It means you understand a simple truth. You cannot control other people's actions, but you can always control your reaction. And choosing not to react is the ultimate display of strength. In the end, silence is self-respect because it says, I value my peace more than your conflict. I value my future more than this moment. I value my growth more than proving anything to you. And that is why ignoring them is not just revenge. It is liberation. It is freedom. It is the moment you finally step into your power and never look back. When someone tries to pull you into an argument, provoke you, or stir negativity around you, they're inviting you onto their battlefield, a place built on anger, insecurity, and emotional chaos. But the moment you choose to ignore them, to not respond, to not engage, you shift the terrain completely. You take the power away from their world and place it firmly into yours. Ignoring negativity is not about pretending it isn't there. It's about refusing to stand on a ground that was never meant for you. When you don't react, you move the fight from their territory to your inner peace, where they have absolutely no control. The battle ends the second you refuse to play their game. Most people who throw negativity your way expect a reaction. They expect you to get upset, defend yourself, explain yourself, or match their energy. That reaction is the fuel they're craving. It keeps the conflict alive and gives them a sense of importance. But when you choose not to give them that reaction, when you withdraw your emotional participation, you take away their fuel. Suddenly, the fire they tried to start has nowhere to go. It burns out on its own. They can't escalate anything because you gave them nothing to work with. You didn't shout back. You didn't argue. You didn't give them access to your peace. You simply kept walking forward. And that confuses people. It disarms them. Because people who thrive on negativity don't know how to fight against stillness. They don't know how to attack silence. They don't know how to handle someone who refuses to be dragged into unnecessary emotional turmoil. Your silence becomes a mirror, forcing them to face their own intentions, their own anger, their own emptiness. And that's something they never expected. When you ignore negativity, you take control of the situation in the most powerful way possible. You dictate the terms. You decide the direction. You choose the outcome. You are no longer reacting, you're leading. Instead of letting outside forces disrupt your mental state, you anchor yourself in your own calm. That calm becomes your territory. It becomes a space no one can invade unless you open the door. Negativity thrives only when you feed it attention. The moment you starve it, it withers. The moment you refuse to engage, it loses its strength. And what grows in its place is clarity. Clarity of who you are, what you want, and what truly matters. When you shift the battlefield back to yourself, you reclaim your energy. You save your emotional strength for things that are actually important. Your goals, your growth, your dreams. Remember, not every battle deserves your presence. Not every loud voice deserves your response. The most important fights in life are often fought within yourself, not against others. And the most important victories are silent. When you choose peace instead of chaos, focus instead of distraction, maturity instead of reaction. By ignoring negativity, you show that your mind is too disciplined to be shaken, your heart is too strong to be manipulated, and your path is too important to be disrupted. People may try to provoke you, but they cannot reach you if you refuse to descend from your higher ground. You remain above the noise. You remain rooted in your purpose. You remain in control. The truth is simple. The moment you decide not to engage is the moment you win. Not because the other person loses, but because you refuse to lose yourself. Ignoring them shifts the battle to a place where only you exist, a place where they have no power, no influence, and no ability to disturb your direction. And that is where your victory lives. In the peace they cannot touch, in the strength they cannot break, in the silence they cannot enter. Revenge is often imagined as something loud, dramatic, and immediate. A moment where you strike back, prove a point, or make someone feel the pain they caused you. But true revenge, the kind that reshapes your life and silences your critics forever, is not found in hurting others. It is found in transforming yourself, becoming better, becoming stronger, becoming someone they can no longer reach, no longer trigger, and no longer compare themselves to. That evolution is far more powerful than any retaliation because it changes the entire story instead of just the moment. When you choose to focus on your growth instead of getting even, you're stepping into a different kind of strength. You're saying, I'm not wasting my life on people who tried to break me. You begin to invest in yourself, your goals, your health, your mindset, your future. Suddenly their opinions matter less. Their actions matter less, and their presence in your life begins to fade naturally. Not because you pushed them away, but because you moved into a place where they can't follow. They remain stuck in the same cycle, the same negativity, the same habits that made them lash out in the first place. Meanwhile, you rise above it all. Becoming better is the kind of revenge that lasts. Retaliation is temporary. It creates a moment of satisfaction, but it doesn't change anything. If anything, it drags you down to their level, making you act out of anger or ego, which only poisons your own heart. But improvement, growth, transformation, that hurts the people who doubted you in a way that words never could. They expected you to crumble. They wanted you to fail. They were waiting for you to get stuck. And instead, you elevate it. You learn from the situation. You turn the pain into fuel. You became someone even stronger than before. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you choose peace over drama, every time you choose self-control over emotional reaction, you're crafting your ultimate revenge. People who hurt others rarely expect their actions to become the very reason their target becomes powerful. They never imagine that the person they try to weaken will use that very moment as motivation to rise higher. Your evolution becomes their regret. This kind of revenge doesn't require confrontation. It doesn't require shouting. It doesn't require proving anything to anyone. It simply requires you to focus on becoming the best version of yourself, not out of spite, but out of purpose. Because when you grow, you outgrow them. When you heal, you outshine the darkness they tried to put in your way. When you improve your life, your circle, your habits, your mindset, you create a distance that can never be crossed again. And the beauty of this evolution is that it benefits you, not them. Revenge that revolves around hurting others steals from you. It steals your peace, your time, your attention, your emotional clarity. But revenge that revolves around self-improvement enriches you. It builds confidence. It builds resilience. It builds a life that is too full, too meaningful, too blessed to be shaken by someone's negativity. You begin to realize that the best revenge is not showing them your pain, it's showing them your progress. Not explaining how they hurt you, but showing how you overcame it. Not telling them what they did wrong, but becoming someone so successful, so peaceful, so internally powerful that their actions no longer have any effect on your world. Revenge is not destruction, it's evolution. It's choosing to let growth speak louder than anger. It's choosing to let your future speak louder than your past. It's choosing to let your success speak louder than any argument you could ever make. And when you rise, when you flourish, when you become the person you were always capable of being, that is the moment your revenge becomes undeniable. Attention is one of the most valuable forms of energy you possess. Wherever your attention goes, your emotions follow, your thoughts follow, your motivation follows. Most people don't realize how powerful this simple truth is. They think reacting is harmless. They think responding to negativity is normal. They think giving their focus to haters, gossip, insults, or drama doesn't cost them anything. But attention is not free. Every reaction you give is a part of your energy being handed away piece by piece, until you feel drained, stressed, or distracted without even knowing why. The moment you understand that your attention is a form of currency, you beg and treat it with care. You stop spending it on people who don't deserve even a second of your time. When someone tries to provoke you, they want your attention. They want to disrupt your peace, manipulate your emotions, or pull you into a world of negativity where they feel more comfortable. Your reaction is the reward they are seeking. It's proof to them that they still matter in your life, that they still have influence over your heart or your thoughts. But the moment you decide not to react, the moment you pull your attention back, they lose that power instantly. You break the invisible thread connecting their negativity to your peace. You deny them the emotional payoff they were hoping for. And that is when the balance of power shifts back into your hands. Withholding your attention does not mean you are weak. It means you are wise. It means you've learned how to protect yourself from people who want to drain your emotional strength. Ignoring someone is not about pretending they don't exist. It's about choosing what deserves space in your mind. And some people simply do not deserve that space anymore. When you stop feeding their behavior with your reactions, you cut off the oxygen that keeps their negativity alive. Your silence becomes a boundary. Your lack of response becomes a statement. It tells them, I refuse to give you the energy you want from me. Attention is like sunlight. Whatever you shine it on grows. If you shine it on drama, drama grows. If you shine it on fear, fear grows. If you shine it on doubt, doubt grows. But if you shine your attention on growth, peace, goals, and self-improvement, those things begin to flourish. You start to elevate. You start to evolve. You start to become someone who is no longer shaped by external noise but guided by internal clarity. When you give negativity your attention, you let someone else set the tone of your day. But when you withhold your attention, you choose the tone yourself. You choose calm over chaos, You choose progress over distraction. You choose stability over emotional exhaustion. People will notice this change. They will see that their words no longer shake you, their actions no longer control you, and their opinions no longer define you. That realization alone breaks them more than anything you could ever say. Your attention is a form of self-respect. It shows what you value, what you prioritize, what you allow into your emotional space. When you stop giving attention to negativity, you create room for better things. Better people, better habits, better opportunities, better thoughts. Your mind becomes clearer. Your spirit becomes lighter. Your path becomes stronger. And that is why withholding your attention is the ultimate power move. Not because it punishes others, but because it elevates you. It proves that you no longer live reactively, you live intentionally. You no longer let others dictate your emotions. You control them. You no longer get dragged into small battles. You conserve your energy for the great victories ahead. Your silence, your distance, and your lack of reaction are not signs of indifference. They are signs of mastery. Signs that you have reached a point where your peace is too precious, your focus too sharp, and your time too valuable to be wasted on anything or anyone that does not help you grow. Success is a language that needs no translation, no explanation, and no defense. It speaks for you even when you say nothing at all. When people doubt you, criticize you, or try to bring you down, they expect you to argue back or prove yourself with words. They want a reaction, a confrontation, a debate where they can feel superior for a moment. But success, real, undeniable success, silences all of that without you having to open your mouth. It is the one thing that cuts through every rumor, every insult, every attempt to belittle you. Because success is a truth that cannot be denied. Nothing affects a person more than watching someone they try to break rise higher than ever. Nothing stings more than seeing someone glow after being pushed into darkness. People who underestimated you will pretend they didn't. People who laughed at you will act like they always believed in you. And the ones who talk behind your back will suddenly fall silent when you walk in the room with accomplishments they never imagined you would reach. Your journey upward becomes a mirror that reflects their own mistakes in underestimating you. Success is powerful because it proves everything you were trying to say, without saying a single word. It proves your strength. It proves your resilience. It proves your capability. It proves that every obstacle they threw at you became fuel rather than a barrier. And that realization hurts the people who doubted you more than any clapback or revenge ever could. They expected you to crumble, but instead you climbed. They expected you to quit, but instead you elevated. They expected to see a defeated version of you, and instead they see a transformed version. Calmer, wiser, more focused. When you channel your energy into improving yourself rather than fighting back, your growth becomes undeniable. You don't have to announce your plans, your goals, or your dreams. You don't have to convince anyone of your potential. You simply work in silence, and one day the results make the noise for you. People can argue with your words, but they cannot argue with your achievements. They cannot argue with the results you produce. They cannot argue with a life that is visibly improving, glowing, strengthening itself day by day. What makes success the ultimate answer is that it shifts the entire narrative. Suddenly, the people who tried to define your worth no longer have any say in who you are. Your achievements redefine you. Your growth reintroduces you. Your transformation reclaims your identity. And none of this requires confrontation. It only requires consistency. It requires discipline. It requires a commitment to becoming someone better than the person who was attacked, insulted, or disrespected. Success also exposes the truth about people. When you rise, you see who claps for you and who falls silent. You see who cheers for you and who envies you. You see who genuinely supports you and who only liked you when you were struggling. This clarity alone is a victory. Success not only proves your worth, it reveals others' intentions. It shows you who is meant to stay in your life and who was only there for your limitations. And while they continue watching, wondering how you did it, questioning their own choices, you keep rising. You keep evolving. You keep stepping into better rooms, better environments, better opportunities. The distance between you and their negativity grows so wide that eventually you stand on a mountain they can't even climb. Not because you wanted revenge, but because you wanted a better life. That is what makes success the loudest message and the sharpest form of revenge. It leaves no room for debate, no space for doubt, no chance for anyone to say you didn't deserve your elevation. It proves that despite everything thrown your way, you chose to rise rather than break. And when you rise, truly rise, every person who ever doubted you must watch from below, knowing deep inside that nothing they said or did could stop you from becoming exactly who you were meant to be.